Susan Haskins of Theater Talk, Michael Musto of everything, all media, king of all gossip and media and Broadway. Tony Awards, we've got just less than 2 weeks till those envelopes are open, and we're going to start with Best Musical. Susan, you first. Can anything beat The Band's Visit?
I don't think anything can. It's original, it's adult, it's artistic, and I think that people are going to vote for that.
Michael?
I agree with Susan. I mean, it's a slam dunk. It's like Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen. It's a clear front runner. No one else could take it down. It's an anti-musical. There are no showstoppers. It's charming.
No, I know.
It's small scale, and people have embraced it unanimously. Whereas Mean Girls, some older people find it an assault. And
I loved it. I absolutely love Mean Girls.
Right, but it's not going to win Best Musical.
The music, isn't that great. The lyrics, it's okay. The lyrics are really good. The whole thing, of course, is great. But I agree. Well, I saw that. I saw Band's Visit. I had not seen SpongeBob SquarePants. What is all this love for that show? It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Michael, you go first, and then I'll chime in.
Well, even if you haven't watched the animated series, it's done with a lot of cleverness, great directorial flourishes. There's something, or 3 or 4 things going on at every moment in that show, and you have to really be alert. Again, it might seem like an assault by the end of it, but it's charming, and I would not say that's the best musical, though. Nothing's going to compete with Band's Visit.
SpongeBob, I would say the first act I was getting kind of bored because I didn't know the lore of SpongeBob and wasn't particularly interested in it. But it's wonderfully designed. And when we get to this, I mean, they've used found objects or what appear to be found objects for both the set and the costumes. And it's so innovative that I wonder if it might not have a chance to take it over the beautifully designed My Fair Lady. It's got a lot of energy, but the wonderful things about SpongeBob rest in the second act, where you have not only Michael Musto, who plays SpongeBob, help me. Yes, the wonderful Ethan, the wonderful, energetic, zippy Ethan.
And he probably has a last name.
And the squid Gavin Lee, who tops his performance in Mary Poppins, where he danced across the top of the proscenium arch upside down, and he does this wonderful 4-leg tap dance, which was the most joyful moment that I had in the theater all season.
That, along with the gay guy from Mean Girls doing his big tap number, which was quite similar, because I think the squid is gay. I really feel the squid is gay. Let's face it.
Maybe. I don't know, maybe.
But in Mary Poppins, yes, he danced upside down, but here he's dancing with multiple limbs.
He's wonderful. Wonderful.
I don't think one of them is going to win, though.
Well, here's where some other Derby experts disagree. David Gordon of Theater Mania says Ethan Slater's going to win. So does Wayman Wong of Talkin' Broadway. We have a third, Jan Simpson of Broadway, and they all say he's out front for Best Actor in a Musical. Susan, you have Joshua Henry from Carousel, and I like that a lot. That's mine too. I think he's just knocks your block off with this, over-the-top bravura performance from the heart. But there's a third person here, of course, competing, and that's Tony Shalhoub in The Band's Visit. Susan, who's really going to win here, and why?
I don't know. Shalhoub could take it. He's when this contest first was named, I thought it was going to be Shalhoub, but I haven't seen SpongeBob yet, and I still don't think that Ethan Slater is going to take it because he's a wonderful, energetic performance, but he's playing a TV cartoon character, and it's not that deep. Now, I will say I'm slightly biased now because we had Joshua Henry and Jesse Mueller come to Theater Talk. It's going to be on this coming week. And they sang much of the bench scene, If I Loved You. They performed it on our air. And I took my breath away, Joshua Henry. He was such a stunning performance. So having seen it so many times, I really, it's hard for me to think of other people winning, but then again, I have to remind myself when I make these predictions that the Tony voters usually only see these performances once. Whereas I look at B-roll, and if they're on Theater Talk, I see them here in the studio. So.
And Michael, you 3, because you've got Tony Shalhoub out front. What's going on there?
I do, and let's not leave out Harry Haddon Payton from My Fair Lady. He was also terrific. It's a very good category. The thing is, I think the smart money is probably on Ethan Slater, but I'm going with Shalhoub. It's his 4th nomination. He doesn't sing that much in The Band's Visit, but he gives a very dignified, touching performance. Very subtle. I think it's their chance to vote for subtle, not manic and crazy and funny.
It is
Always what it is.
But you know what, Susan, I agree with you, Joshua Henry, and I agree with you, Tom. Joshua Henry was magnificent. He's a powerful force in that role, a very controversial role. And if he won, I don't think anybody would be unhappy.
So do you think that Ethan Slater's going to get it because of all that perky energy?
It seems to me that the most people I talk to are predicting Ethan Slater just because he has to carry the show and he has to climb ladders. And I don't know. I would say he should win next time, and I would give it to Shalhoub this time.
That's not the way it works, Michael.
Well, sometimes it does.
Oh, sometimes it does. That's true.
Wait, yes, he does. He climbs ladders like nobody's business. So there you go.
But he doesn't have to dress like a sponge. I would have more sympathy if he was schlepping around the stage in a sponge outfit, but he's not.
Well, and yes, and his outfit is he's like a little muscle man.
He's wearing basically little knickers and a shirt with a tie and suspenders.
Yes, but it's very.
He looks like Larry King.
Oh no, he looks like Jack LaLanne. Everybody know who that is?
Our references are so current.
Little muscle man. He's a little muscle man. Whereas Tony Shalhoub is the exact opposite. Tony Shalhoub barely moves or sings, but his acting is so powerful that puts him, makes him your prediction.
I don't objectify men except in my personal life.
Now, Susan, you've got the consensus pick, Katrina Lenk from The Band's Visit, out front for music actress. I had her out front too. I have since moved Lauren Ambrose to number 1. I might make a change there. My buddy Michael here has Lauren Ambrose. So this time we've got you, Susan, outnumbered. What's your thinking about Katrina?
Well, Lauren Ambrose is wonderful, and I'm very, very torn. The thing about Katrina Lenk is she's creating an original character. Lauren Ambrose has her own very unique spin on Eliza Doolittle. There's no question about that, and she's so very talented. And talk about she's like Ethan Slater, that she's going through that show with such energy. But Katrina Lenk has created this new character in this wonderful musical. And Michael Musto, do you think that there could be like a Band's Visit sweep where these?
Yes. There could. I'm going with Lauren Ambrose just because it was such an impossible challenge to play Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady, make it fresh, make the acting choices resonate with every scene, which she does. Not doing Julie Andrews, she's not doing Audrey Hepburn.
Thank God. No,
she's beautiful. I had no idea she had a beautiful operatic voice on her.
No, I think I would be voting for Lauren Ambrose, but in talking about who's going to win, I think that Katrina Lenk will win again because it's this very unique new character.
You're right, because Lauren Ambrose has divided people, I've found, and also Katrina Lenk is one of those beloved Broadway figures who hasn't gotten massive recognition. Like when Jane Howdyshell and Reed Birney won, it's kind of like rewarding one of your own. They loved her in Indecent a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, but Katrina's performance is muted. I think she only has 1 song or maybe 2 at the most. It's not a musical role. It's not big. It's very sympathetic. It's even sexy. Her role is, and she's kind of like the empathetic heart of the audience represented up there. I get all that, but I don't see a performance like I see with Lauren Ambrose, or even for that matter.
She sings Kulthum and Omar Sharif. She has I consider it a very musical role, and also she has this character of this woman who's alone and has been disregarded by her lover, and she's having affairs and she's miserable, and she really is putting that across a very modern character.
Lauren Ambrose makes showstoppers out of at least 2 numbers, Show Me and I Could Have Danced All Night. Mm-hmm. They're just beautifully done.
I agree. She's wonderful.
Again, if either of those 2 wins, we'll be fine. And Jessie Mueller was beautiful in Carousel as well.
Yes,
yeah.
funny. And again, in the theater talk performance that they did at the piano, Jessie Mueller popped out even more to me in how wonderful she is in recreating that role, as much as Lauren Ambrose recreates Liza Doolittle.
And talk about an impossible role. Laurie in Carousel has to convince you that she's in love with the guy who beats her, and she thinks it's okay, that it's the same as expressing love. And everyone's warning her against him, and of course it ends badly. And she's still holding on to her love for him. That's a difficult character to put across, and she did it.
What about you, Tom?
I'm going with Lauren Ambrose, yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking at featured actress now. We've all got Lindsay Mendez from Carousel, and she wasn't really on my radar because I'm in LA all the time now. I haven't been seeing much Broadway. But when I saw Carousel, the minute she opened her mouth, I'm sure you had the same goosebumps I did. It was, whoa, this is a voice.
Yeah.
And she commanded that performance from then on. So is she pretty much a slam dunk here?
She goes for a comic take on the role. Some of the jokes don't even land, but she's trying up there. And when she goes into When I Marry Mr. Snow, her optimism is so infectious. You just feel the love she has for this man who smells like fish, but is the right man for her because they're going to get rich and they're going to be the nice couple, unlike Carrie and Billy.
I agree with you.
I think she's a lot.
But one that could come out of nowhere is Ashley Park in Mean Girls, who's really quite special. Ashley Park is very talented, and she plays one of the. You there? Oh, he's giving me a phone. She plays one of the sycophant girls, and she's really tremendous. Don't you think, Michael Musto?
I thought she was okay, but her part was a little cliche where she kept talking about what's wrong with me. You know, I don't want this backstory on what made me a bitch. I just want to see the bitch.
Well, but that's a problem with Mean Girls in general, isn't it? That there's a lot of cliches in there.
Yeah, but she's well liked in the theater community. Renee Fleming was also great in Carousel with her 2 big numbers.
Yes.
I just think Lindsay Mendez, again, is somebody people have seen in other shows. I remember her as a backup singer for Sherry Renee Scott in Sherry's one-woman show. She was also in Significant Other. She's managed to do comedy, drama, and musical, and she's multi-talented. And the part won the Tony for young little Audra McDonald some time ago.
That's right. And she and Alexander Gemignani, who plays Mr. Snow, are just a very endearing, wonderful couple in that show. He's nominated also. I don't think he's going to get it, but
he's wonderful.
Wonderful.
You guys keep talking. I have a package arriving here. Go on.
So this is live media. So who's in that?
While we're doing that supporting actor in a musical category, I actually think it's going to be Norbert Leo Boots getting his 3rd Tony. He plays Alfred P. Doolittle in My Fair Lady. You don't think so? You're nodding your head. No.
I think I'm shaking my head. I mean, he's a wonderful performer, and it would be his 3rd Tony. I who am a My Fair Lady maniac, having first seen him when I was 7, didn't think he didn't really have. Well, he wasn't as powerful in that role as I felt that Higgins and Liza were. But people love that performance. They love that dance. Again, I preferred Gavin Lee's 4-leg tap dance, but I think you're right. Norbert Leo Butts is going to win. There's Alexander Gemignani, Gray Henson, who we love. We love Gray Henson. You interviewed him on Theater Talk with me.
Plays the out gay character in Mean Girls and has 2 great numbers.
Now there's a big group of people, and I know that they're on Gold Derby that who are voting for Ariel Stachel, who was the.
Well, like you say, it could be the Band's Visit Suite.
Yes.
And, yeah, he's essential to the show.
Essential to the show. He acted, he sang, and that could be, if there's that sweep of the adult musicals, meaningful performances coming from the Band's Visit, he will get it. Remember last year, Michael, in the Best Supporting Actor for a Play, and no one thought for a moment that guy out of what's the best play last year?
Oslo.
The guy out of Oslo won, and no one predicted that.
Everyone thought it would be Danny DeVito for The Price. Mm-hmm. Right, and last year also Rachel Bay Jones won supporting for Dear Evan Hansen, which was sweeping a lot of awards. Though they gave director to Come From Away, remember?
Yes.
So sometimes they like to split it up. Tom, should we talk about drama?
Yes. Obviously, Harry Potter will take Best Play. Should we just skip that and go into?
Yes. Next.
Next, let's do lead actor then in a play, because I think there's some real drama here. What do you guys think? Who's out front to win here?
Tom, I'm recuperating from restless leg syndrome, which I've cured, but it prevented me from catching up with a lot of plays, which I'm doing now. I haven't yet seen Angels in America, but I really think Andrew Garfield is pretty much a slam dunk to win based on the buzz that I've heard.
Out front on Gold Derby is Andrew Garfield. Is that not true, Tom?
Yes, by a country mile. He's
Denzel. He also winning. He's winning. Gold Derby is the Rolls Royce of theater.
The gold standard.
But we have our little theater talk viewer poll, and Andrew Garfield is winning by a mile. And that second is Denzel Washington, who I thought was magnificent. And I believe I have seen 5 performances of the lead character Hickey, and I thought Denzel was by far the best.
Wow.
He really is a deserving winner. Also, Mark Rylance, I just don't think it's his year. He's always wonderful. Travesties is wonderful. Jamie Parker, not so, only because I didn't think Jamie Parker was really the lead in the Harry Potter plays.
Oh,
the lead was the guy who played. Yes, who's up for supporting? Yeah, teacher.
Oh, right.
I think Best Actress is another slam dunk. It's obviously Glenda Jackson for Three Tall Women.
And it's magnificent. That's what a pleasure to have her here, to Glenda Jackson, to have her here doing that.
Despite it being a Pulitzer-winning play, it's not one of the most overproduced of the Albee plays. So it comes as a revelation, because even if you saw it a long time ago, it's fresh, it's reinterpreted.
Right.
It throws some real curves at you, and all 3 actresses I thought were terrific.
Do you think, Michael Musto, that Laurie Metcalf has any chance for supporting featured actress in a play?
She does, and she has a whole new wave of sympathy because of Roseanne's racism getting the show canceled. So Laurie's out of a TV job.
That's right. I forgot.
You and I, Susan, have Laurie Metcalf winning. And currently, Michael has Denise Goff from Angels in America.
Michael's right.
Is he? Why?
It just seems to be more support for her. She's and that is a wonderful performance. Again, a newcomer to us from England, and is it golf or good? I don't know.
The response to Three Tall Women has been like Glenda, but I mean, if you saw it, they're all terrific.
And yes, Laurie Metcalf has won an Tony, of course, for Doll's House. She has
last year.
She won last year.
She was up for the Oscar this year.
Yep, and she was up for the Oscar this year. She's got 3 Tony Emmy awards, and she'll certainly be nominated again this year.
I don't think so, Tom.
She's just at the awards.
I don't think Roseanne's getting any Emmy nominations.
I don't think so either.
That's all.
They're not going to forgive Laurie for Roseanne. Okay.
But
she's an Emmy.
Let's address this business. Where in the recent years, where the kind of rules changed and the voting body changed, they threw the journalists out. They let some journalists back in. During all of this little flux of things, we saw something that we didn't usually see at the Tonys, which was celebrities winning. Like Catherine Zeta-Jones and Denzel and all of that, and Viola, and we were going, whoa. And then that little trend stopped for a little while. The celebrities didn't win, and then they're back to winning. We have a lot of celebrities this year, from Denzel to Laurie Metcalf to others. What impact is that going to have? And why do they seem to care a lot some years and not at all? Not at all starstruck other years?
I think they went on a binge, like you say. There was also Scarlett Johansson winning. Right. It was like, we need celebrities. We need to beef up the box office of Broadway. And I'm not saying that those people gave bad performances, but a lot of people didn't think Catherine Zeta-Jones really was the best actress in a musical that year. It was Montego Glover for Memphis. In any case, then they got over that. They were like, we don't have to kiss celebrity ass so much anymore. They didn't even nominate Denzel for Raisin in the Sun. Remember that?
Yes.
Wow, that's right.
And now they're back to, we'll nominate you except for Chris Evans for Lobby Hero, who many people thought should have been in there.
Oh, I never heard of before I saw Lobby Hero.
He's the big celebrity.
He's a cute guy. But Tom, let me ask you this. When people, I was one of the kicked out journalists, but I voted for a number of years. And when I would fill out my ballot, which was a great honor, I don't think I ever thought in terms of, oh, that person's a celebrity, so I'm going to. In other words, you are alone when you fill out your ballot. And am I sitting there going, oh, let's give it to Scarlett Johansson because she's a star? No. You think that, but do you think producers think that way, and that's what may push it over, that they vote that way?
At the Tonys, we normally see the Norbert Leo Butzes, these very, very, distinguished, favorite, beloved stars on Broadway who are unknown to the rest of the world. There seems to be a kind of stubborn preference for them to stick by their own peeps when competing against those Hollywood superstars. That was always the tradition, but that tradition has really broken down a lot in the last few years. I was just wondering if you had some thoughts on it. Yeah.
The way they kicked Danny DeVito to the curb last year, the way they didn't nominate Chris Evans, I would say they're over their star kissing. And now they get to pick the best in the category and be sensible.
Yeah, yeah. Now, going back to sweeps, Tom, but do you think there'll be a lot of an Angels in America kind of sweep for best revival of the play?
Oh.
It looks like all your expert Tony predictors are going for that as best revival of the play.
Oh yes, that's a cinch for that. Yeah.
I just think the director could go to Harry Potter because it's more of a directed piece with special effects and all kinds of stagecraft.
Tricks, yeah. Yeah, I wondered about that. Are they going to give it to, that's one I think about. I think about this a lot. Is it going to Marianne Elliott for Angels in America, directing a play which has been directed by many other directors, or is it going to Harry Potter, this very innovative work which the director helped write?
What do you think?
I don't know. I am torn in my thinking, but the Theater Talk viewers are voting for Marianne Elliott by a mile. What do you think, Mike? Oh, Michael Musto, you didn't see it.
I think it'll go to Harry Potter just because there's more stagecraft involved.
No, and it's wonderfully inventive. That's the strong part of Harry Potter. It isn't the plot, which is kind of a cliched science fiction thing, but it's the wonderful stagecraft and the very inventive way he presents the story.
I think another really good category is revival of a musical, even though all three nominees were the only three revivals of a musical this year. So if you opened a revival, you got nominated. But they happen to be extraordinary because My Fair Lady, Carousel, and Once on This Island all have beautiful productions currently running.
But what's happening here, though, Michael? Because when it started, the prediction season at Gold Derby, all the experts were Once on This Island. Everybody was voting for that. Then everybody switched to Carousel. And now My Fair Lady's way out front. What's going on here? What's really
that's
out?
The order that we saw them in.
That's what it sounds like to me. It's the order in which people saw it.
And they all got complaints from the politically correct about it's a woman being abused. Yeah, that's what it's about. It's like saying Hamlet kills his uncle. That's what it's about. My Fair Lady is a woman being misused by this priggish man. That's what it's about. Deal with it. It's not celebrating his behavior. It's criticizing his behavior. Get it? And Once on This Island is a girl, spoiler alert, who turns into a tree, all because of her love for a man. Deal with it. That's what it's about.
I do think, Michael Musto, though, that remember that in the original Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw, he was having Liza walk out on Higgins. And here they certainly are trying to make Eliza seem more like an independent woman, and they changed the ending with just nuance that she's not going back romantically to the guy who's snarky to her, which made so much sense to me as I was growing up.
She never went back to him romantically. That was only in My Fair Lady, the movie.
No, and in Pygmalion, the movie, she did. But the point,
really,
that's what they have taken that away. Well, I don't know. I don't want to talk about.
Here's a spoiler alert, viewers. Just mute the sound now if you don't want to hear the ending of My Fair Lady at Lincoln Center. But she not only walks out, she walks through the audience. She walks through the fourth wall.
But here's the thing:
so she's really leaving.
She walks through the fourth wall. But the only thing I have to ask about that is, where was she keeping that hat? This is an inside joke. You remember the hat she had with the plant coming out of the top?
Yes. And how often do you have to water that hat?
I thought, where did she pack it? All right. Anyway, moving on.
In featured actor for a play, we have Nathan Lane way out front for Angels in America, but Anthony Boyle is in second place for Harry Potter. No other experts are betting on any of the others. What do you think?
They have dissed Nathan, I think, a little too many times. There are times he hasn't been nominated, times he hasn't won. I think they're going to make up for that. But Anthony Boyle is a very strong competitor.
Anthony Boyle, Anthony Boyle won the Olivier, did he not, Tom?
Yes, he did.
He's wonderful, and as I said before, I think he's really the lead in that play. But Nathan Lane, who is such a magnificent comic, and then he's really reinvented himself as a serious actor, doing one of the other a very good job on The Iceman Cometh a few seasons ago, and doing this now. I also wonder, to ask both of you, do you think the fact that he's playing Roy Cohn, who was Donald Trump's mentor, and then so here he's this portrayal of the evil and awful Roy Cohn, if people will think about that at all? That it's kind of a weird statement to give it to the critical of Roy Cohn performance and play.
Yeah, I think just by having Nathan Lane do that role just builds in the automatic satire element that nothing needs to be forgiven.
No, and when Angels in America has the first scene, Nathan, it's a comic scene, and I thought, here we have, he's on the telephone.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
And I thought, here we have Nathan again. But then, as the play goes on, and Roy Cohn, again, spoiler alert, but hardly if you've read any history, he dies, and Nathan gives such a powerful, compelling performance. He really delivers a very serious thing. And so I agree. I think he'll win, although Anthony Boyle is wonderful.
And again, it's one of those award-winning roles. It won for Ron Liebman in the original. I think Pacino probably won something for the
film.
Yeah.
Moving over to director of a musical, The Band's Visit is way out front with our predictions, but we have a couple of experts picking SpongeBob. Is that really going to happen?
Well, Tina Landau, right? She did a very directed job. I mean, like I said, every moment there's stuff going on. So it's an incredibly directed show. I don't think it's going to win. I don't think SpongeBob is going to come away with anything. I think Mean Girls might even come away with nothing. The only chance it has is for Best Book for Tina Fey. That'll probably go for Band's Visit, I would say.
I agree with you, Michael Musto. But that Tina Landau was an avant-garde director. So now, she's earning her annuity here, and God love her. But that is a very good job. And she did all kinds of inventive, interesting things. But let's face it, this is a Nickelodeon product she's directing versus The Band's Visit, which is this artistic creation. And David Cromer, who mostly we've seen do plays, but is a very inventive director. But there's not much spectacle in The Band's Visit, as Michael Musto has said. Any thought for Bartlett Sher for My Fair Lady?
In third place, but not with any first place votes. People have it consistently ranked third, so I think it's in the running.
That's fair. And who's the other one? Oh, the guy who did Once on This Island, which is very nice.
Mean Girls, yeah.
Previously did Spring Awakening.
Best director in a play, that's Harry Potter, isn't it? But it's up against Angels, so we've got a score of 7 for Harry Potter, 4 for Angels for directing.
And and the Theater Talk viewer poll, Marianne Elliott is out ahead for Angels. I wasn't that impressed with the direction of the first part of Angels, but the second part, where they're in heaven, and it's a huge departure from the original production, and very brilliantly and technically conceived. She may have a shot. Remember, she did The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, which is one of the most powerful plays I have ever seen. And she is a very smart, happening director, so maybe she has a chance, Marianne Elliott.
She wanted to do a carousel and have Prior Walter go back to Earth for one day. No, I'm kidding. A lot of heaven and purgatory shows this year.
Right. The heaven and
Spring of the Opera.
All right, so musical score. Band's Visit is ahead almost unanimously here. SpongeBob has 1 vote out of 11. Do you agree?
Absolutely. SpongeBob is one of those cobbled together scores with like 800 different composers, and it's okay. Mean Girls has a pretty good score, but critics complained about some of the songs. They thought some of the lyrics were clunky. There were a few too many songs.
But I love the Regina song. I'm just tipping my hat to Mean Girls for a few catchy tunes. But I think, yes, I'm going to go to Band's Visit.
I've not heard one word of criticism about any aspect of Band's Visit. Have you?
Well, when it was off Broadway, there was the criticism that it was very static. I mean, there's no dance numbers. You don't see a choreography nomination for Band's Visit. It was pretty static, and I think that when they moved to the Broadway theater, they worked on that and made it move around the stage a little more and improved it from that perspective.
For that to win Best Music, I just think is a travesty. That's just. I've been in show business awards so long. You think I'd get over that?
Well, what do you think should win, Tom?
I didn't see SpongeBob. Mean Girls doesn't deserve to win. I don't know.
But Band's Visit had
Underwhelmed with Band's Visit.
That haunting song.
It's always Frozen. Why are we forgetting Frozen?
I know Frozen should give it to that. Yeah.
They used songs from the movie, but they also wrote like 600 new songs.
No, and Frozen, they did a wonderful job of Frozen. I just think the problem is that we think of Frozen as already conceived work, whereas, as you say, they did all kinds of new songs. But Tom, the song in Band's Visit, listen to it again. The song at the end when the guy's waiting for the telephone and they all sing. That's a beautiful, haunting song.
Okay.
He's not convinced.
I hated the whole show so much. I literally the end of it. And I was with Paul Sheehan, our executive editor, and Paul is a good little boy sitting in his seat, waiting for the final thing. And I hated it so much. I was out front looking at the poster out front with Ben Brantley's review, calling this the greatest thing since Othello or whatever it was. He did say, this is the most alive and wonderful you have felt in the theater since a chorus line, Brantley said, something like that. And I went, whoa, is that off base? So I am emotionally blinded.
So now what would you go for? What would you go for?
I don't know. I don't know.
But I think
I'm glad to finally hear a critique of Band's Visit because I really honestly haven't heard anybody disparage it in any way.
But again, I think that it gets a lot of points because it is, although it's based on an obscure Israeli movie, it is a very inventive, original conception whereas you have Frozen, Mean Girls, SpongeBob, these things which are corporate products. No disrespect to the artists working on them, but they're corporate products. And maybe Broadway wants to, really support something that is not a corporate product.
Well, they're all based on movies, or in the case of SpongeBob, an animated TV show. But Band's Visit, the movie, is pretty obscure. It's pretty esoteric and out there. So
esoteric and it's cerebral, although you hate it, and I'm not talking. Well, I hated Margaritaville, but that didn't get nominated, so we don't even have to talk about that.
Well, so I guess Band's Visit wins Best Orchestrations by default too. But what orchestration is? I mean, you expect that award of all things at the Tonys to go to the big, lush, kind of orchestrated.
And is there a chance for My Fair Lady?
It's not nominated. You've got SpongeBob, Carousel, Once on This Island, and Mean Girls.
Wow, that's interesting.
Band's Visit incorporates really exotic instruments like the oud, O-U-D, and I don't even know the names of the other ones, but it's an exotic sound to it.
Yeah.
Now, my SpongeBob, they did make a lot of use of these makeshift crazy instruments. It's a expensive downtown orchestration, and I could almost see an argument for SpongeBob winning costumes, winning orchestrations. It won't, but I could see supporting that because it's so inventive. And again, it's too bad it's in support of a corporate product. Just because I don't want Broadway to be completely saturated with such things.
Haven't you given up on that hope? Broadway's Las Vegas now, baby.
I know.
You wish. It's Branson.
All right, scenic design of a play. Harry Potter got that. I mean, it's so beautifully lit and staged, and the spinning staircases and all of that. It can't lose, right?
Well, now There are other people though.
There's Angels in America, Three Tall Women, Farinelli and the King, and The Iceman Cometh.
No, I think it's going to be Harry Potter. It is. I mean, again, there's that outer space heaven scene in Angels in America, which is pretty interesting. But I don't know if that can sway the wind, take the wind for Angels in America.
Scenic design for a musical. My Fair Lady is way out front. 10 votes, 1 for SpongeBob. Right?
Well, I voted for SpongeBob and then I took it away. And again, because I have downtown roots, I was so impressed with how, for instance, they made a volcano out of ladders, or that the way that they created this whole world out of these crazy objects. It really is a. The thing about My Fair Lady is it's beautifully done, but it is My Fair Lady. They're using a palette of knowns, make an even better study for Henry Higgins. Yeah, but we know what that's going to be. Whereas SpongeBob, they had these crazy things. Again, this whole violent world they made out of junk, and that is really speaking to our time, isn't it? That we're making a world out of garbage.
About time. We have the garbage is getting bigger than the good stuff.
It is garbage, but it makes the set out of garbage.
There's a moment in My Fair Lady where you see Henry Higgins' house way in the back of the stage, and it's a huge stage, huge theater, and it starts coming forward to the forefront of the stage. It's a stunning moment. The sets for My Fair Lady are really lavish. No, they're not wacky and clever like SpongeBob, but the SpongeBob cleverness after a while was like a dog kissing its own butt or something. I don't know. It was like, that's nice. Like, you want me to applaud every 5 seconds for some new, cute repurposing of some old object?
You know what I think the thing is, Michael, that Lincoln Center and the beautiful and where Higgins' house spins around, she's running through all the rooms and it's going around. But that's the biggest stage in New York City next to the Metropolitan. And you think, well, wow, they have the money and the space to do that. Whereas I come, again, from the Downtown Theater. So when I see Tina Landau, also from the Downtown Theater, making a set out of a bunch of garbage and making it work, there's part of me that goes, oh, well, that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, ideally, each set designer should be given the same budget and the same theater, and let's see what you can do.
Let's see what
but that's not how it works. People go for the obvious. My Fair Lady is really lavish. They're going to go for the costumes and the sets because they're beautiful. They're eye-popping. Is it art? I don't know.
Well, like the Oscars, they always go for the most costume, the most set decoration. The loudest movie wins the Sound Award.
And the period pieces.
That said, costume design for a play, Harry Potter is just like the unanimous choice here. Farinelli comes in second. Three Tall Women. Those are more contemporary costumes. They're not likely to win. Angels has the same problem. Iceman, they're not elegant stuff. So Harry's got that right.
Yes, I do. I actually think the costumes for Farinelli and the King were better, except in Harry Potter. And I was going to research this, and I didn't. In Harry Potter, there's those wonderful costumes where somebody puts on a robe and then they turn into somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if that's the costume designer did that, you go, well, that wins because
right.
That wonderful trick. Again, wonderful tricks in Harry Potter.
It's just going to win all those technical things because it's an event with a capital E.
And it's quite good. I was charmed by it. I was surprised at how good it was, Harry Potter.
I thought it was wonderful. Again, like SpongeBob, I didn't really know all the lore, having seen only one Harry Potter movie, and there was a level in which I found that a little tedious, that I didn't want to have to know all that. But there you go. It's fine. It's good. It's wonderful.
So Harry Potter wins lighting, wins costume designing. We've got the one thing where SpongeBob is out front with our predictions significantly is in lighting design. I haven't seen it again. So why does it beat everything else for lighting design?
Well, again, finding those areas in this world of, that he goes to the other kingdoms and climbs the volcano. And so it's, again, defined with just stuff and lights. And it's very compelling that way. I mean, that's a very effectively done lighting job.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even care. I'm not going to comment.
Oh, sound design as well. We've got that out front for SpongeBob. Same reasoning, Susan?
I have to recuse myself on this one because my pal Scott Laird did Carousel.
And it was great sound.
And he's the first person. He won for my South Pacific, the first sound design award. And I cannot. I'm very biased.
Okay. What is, Susan, we'll start with you. What is your most Daredevil prediction this year? You have one?
Well,
Where you're going against the grain and you say,
my most Daredevil prediction would be Gavin Lee for SpongeBob beating Norbert Leo Butz, or the other one, Stanchel beating Norbert Leo Butz.
You're a sucker for a crustacean. I'm going out on a limb with Tony Shalhoub, but I don't think that many other people are with me on that, and I'm always wrong. So please don't go with me.
Could really be
Ethan Slater from SpongeBob. Anything underwater is going to win.
but you could be very right about Tony Shalhoub also.
That'd be cool. It would be nice if I finally went on a limb and was right.
Michael, you've won a couple of these expert contests in the past. So
well, the killer is you were number one, Tom, with the predictions for the nominations. You live in LA. You don't even see these stupid shows. You don't have to see the shows.
Do you know? Let me tell you how I came in number one among all of us for predictions, and without seeing these things, without seeing most of them. I tried a new prediction technique this year, rather than look at the list of potentials and say, "Oh, I think that." I did it the opposite. I said, "That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen." So I just took all the "that's never going to happen" off the list.
And they're sure those.
So I voted from a point of view of negativity, and that actually came in first, rather than voting for things I thought were going to get in there.
Well, there's a tip from the guy who runs the gold standard of I want to say something. During the year of Hamilton, I tied for four-way tie for first.
Way to go.
That was a pretty easy year, I have to say. Yeah.
You predicted home from the holidays.
Yeah, right.
That was the one where you got it wrong.
I hope both of you folks really kick butt across the board and keep your Tony predictions up to date, you and everybody else. Those of you watching, it's your job to prove that you are smarter than us. That's not hard to do because Gold Derby gives you the tools. Use them. Make your predictions. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. Good luck, my